It is now in order to consider Amendment Number 9, printed in Part B of House Report 116-154. For what purpose does the gentleman from Hawaii seek recognition?
Madam Chair, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment Number 9, printed in Part B of House Report Number 116-154, offered by Mr. Case of Hawaii.
Pursuant to House Resolution 491, the gentleman from Hawaii, Mr. Case, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Hawaii.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recognize myself for such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Madam Chair, not far from here on the slopes of Capitol Hill is a small, serene, and unassuming memorial. On its walls are names not now known to too many Americans, but indelibly etched in a dark chapter of our national story. Tule Lake, Poston, Manzanar. These are the internment camps where 120,000 ethnic Japanese, most of them American citizens, were locked up in the hysteria of the Second World War just because they were Japanese. This amendment, proudly sponsored by many of my colleagues in our Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, including our chair, the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Chu, asks us a question that must be asked. Are we repeating history or in danger of doing so? In these recent years of justifiably heightened scrutiny on the intelligence activities of the People's Republic of China, a disproportionate number of Americans of Chinese descent have been investigated and prosecuted for espionage. Those convicted have received disproportionately high sentences, and the too many exonerated have had their careers ruined nonetheless. No doubt China seeks to recruit Chinese Americans to its goals, and no doubt our government should and must review specific cases of potential espionage by China on specific facts. But have we fallen into the same trap all over again of justifying investigations and other actions towards the ends of national security by the means of general profiling and targeting based solely on ethnic identity? The Committee of 100, a group of prominent Chinese Americans in diverse fields, reviewed the empirical evidence and concluded that, quote, Asian Americans, immigrant or native-born, may be facing unfair and increased prejudice in this era of geopolitical competition, unquote. It stated, and I believe correctly, quote, a definite line can be drawn between appropriate prosecution that is based on actual evidence and free of bias and overreaching persecution that is triggered by unfounded suspicions and tainted by racial prejudice. All Americans, regardless of ethnicity, depend on that line, unquote. This resolution is a flashing red light to our intelligence community. Stop, look, and listen. Take some time to think it through, to be sure you're staying on the right side of that line, and then report back to us here in Congress that you have done so and have the procedures and mindset in place to assure that we won't repeat history with Chinese Americans or any other broad ethnic or interest group. I'm pleased to yield 2 minutes to my colleague, the gentleman from California, the committee chair.
I thank the gentleman
from California is recognized.
Thank you. I thank the gentleman for yielding. I strongly support the amendment. This expresses a sense of Congress that racial profiling of Americans of Chinese descent is contrary to the values of the United States and reinforces flawed narratives perpetuated by the People's Republic of China that ethnically Chinese individuals worldwide have a duty to support the People's Republic of China. Moreover, the amendment reaffirms that the United States government has a duty to warn and protect all Americans, including those of Chinese descent, from intelligence operations executed by the People's Republic of China. Finally, the amendment requires the DNI Office of Civil Liberties, Privacy, and Transparency, in coordination with civil liberties and privacy officers throughout the IC, to submit a report to the Congressional Intelligence Committees. This report would review how the intelligence community policies that govern counterintelligence operations against China impact the civil liberties of Americans of Chinese descent who are the targets of Chinese espionage, and provides recommendations to preserve these liberties and privacy interests. Mr. Case's important amendment reaffirms that Americans of all backgrounds deserve equal protection under the law and reminds our intelligence community of its duty to protect privacy and civil liberties of all persons. Again, I want to thank my colleague for his work, and I strongly support the amendment and yield back.
Gentleman from Hawaii.
I thank the chair and reserve the balance of my time.
Does The gentleman reserves. Does any member rise and seek time for opposition? Seeing none, does the gentleman...
Thank you, Madam Chair. I strongly urge adoption of this amendment. It's the right amendment. We certainly want our intelligence communities to do their job, but we also want them to be very conscious of the decisions that they're making and in line with our basic civil liberties. Thank you very much.
The question is now on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Hawaii. Those in favor will indicate by saying aye. Those opposed by saying no. In the opinion of the chairs, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.